Awesome. All right. All right. Well, welcome everybody to our third series in our Emerging Leader Circle Adulting Lunch and Learn. I'm Greg Lucchina. I'm on the steering committee for the Emerging Leader Circle and also on the board of the United Way. So this talk today is going to be near and dear to my heart in many different ways. I'm with David Ling Real Estate, a local realtor here in our community, helping people realize their dreams, both financial and personal, through home ownership. So today I'm really excited. We've when we started this adulting series, we were giving the avenues for young professionals to connect with local trusted individuals in our community to help guide them through the home purchase process, setting up a will and trust, doing their taxes, getting insurance, all these different items. And when I started this lunch and learn idea, or had this lunch and learn idea with the steering committee, I thought, what a great way to kind of talk about the health and wellness, because I know that's been, for me personally, I know in my household over the last 12 months, being a year into this pandemic, it's been something that we've struggled with, and we've gone through our ups and downs. And so, I wanted to focus not only on financial stability for our young professionals, but also our health and wellness. And one of the other things, given the fact that the Emerging Leader Circle, we're an affiliate of the United Way of Santa Cruz County, I thought, what a great way, but to hear about how the United Way is providing for a healthy community, and not healthy from the standpoint of, we're getting people out to run and jog and eat right and do those sorts of things, but providing the resources, providing the both financial and through their time, energy, and effort to be able to make us a healthy community, giving everybody the equity to and the ability to obtain different options here in our community. So I'm super excited to have Amanda here today with the United Way. I'm not going to introduce her. I'm going to let her kind of jump in and kind of give a background as to who she is and what she does. But really quickly, we are the Emerging Leader Circle. We are an affiliate of the United Way. We would love for folks to join our group. We do events like this. Hopefully, as we're starting to move into the tiers that we think we can get back in person, we may start doing these events in person. We're hopefully going to do some connect events, some networking events in person, maybe get back to our volunteer events in person. So we would love, if you guys are interested, get in touch with me, get in touch with Ash, become a member of the Emerging Leader Circle. It's a $100 donation for the year. That donation goes to support the opportunities that Amanda is going to talk about today to help kind of the United Way in the youth of our community. So with that, I'm going to introduce Amanda. And Amanda, like I said, I'm going to let you give a background as to who you are and kind of what you do with the United Way.
Yeah, thank you so much, Greg, and thank you for letting me be here today. It's nice to see some familiar faces and names on the screen. But for those who don't know me, my name is Amanda. I'm a Community Impact Coordinator at United Way, born and raised in the Santa Cruz Live Oak area, and I coordinate the Youth Action Network and also United for Youth, which are two initiatives focused around youth and positive youth development here in the Santa Cruz County area.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Amanda. And so I guess kind of first start off and, maybe give us a day in the life of, what you do with the United Way and how you're not only supporting, the United Way, the community, but really the youth of our community. What you do when focusing with the two groups that you spearhead at the United Way.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. A day in the life. It's different every day. But I'd say like right now where we're at, it's, working really closely with our planning committee, because we're currently in the planning process for the Youth Action Network, working with youth and their adult coordinators from certain programs that make up the planning committee. I work really closely with my colleague, Gabriela Sanchez, who's also here today, who is co-leading the creation of the Youth Action Network as well. And then for United for Youth, it's really just, working collaboratively with partners within the Live Oak and Watsonville area. I'd say a lot of it is project management, project coordination, sending calendar invites, also just like working remotely I've been in this role for about a year now. It's all been from the inside of this room. So being within that virtual space and trying to navigate that on the day-to-day has been the norm as well. But I would say it's really, with both of the initiatives, it's working collaboratively with partners and creating that collective impact to better support youth across the county in a broad sense.
Can you talk specifically as to how each program is touching the specific youth in the different parts of our county and our community?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I'll start with United for Youth, which is an awesome initiative that was started at United Way about 2 years ago. And I know Jenna, who is also part of the United Way, that's in the past years, was supporting the implementation of this program as well. But United for Youth is an awesome community impact collaborative effort that brings together nonprofits to support youth and their overall well-being within specific areas. So one is in Live Oak and then one is in Watsonville. And it's always different nonprofits coming together to provide wraparound services for our highest needs youth. And so it's working together with youth and families to see like where we could best support them in providing resources and equitable opportunities so that they have everything that they need to thrive. And especially, you know, throughout this past year with COVID and the fires, these initiatives have been really supportive for youth and families during that time, and finding the best ways to, you know, support youth with homework, you know, mental health, access to employment, rental assistance, and that's all within those, you know, organizations that are part of those collaboratives as well. And it's a great team. It's not just me coordinating this effort. Ash is, you know, helping with like the marketing, and we have some awesome interns and also all of our partners as well, from like Community Action Board to the Conflict Resolution Center. You know, each collaborative has their team where they support youth in those specific communities.
So focusing specifically on United for Youth, it's a fairly new program, right? I mean, the United Way kind of went through I don't want to say rebranding because they're still the United Way, but kind of a refocus of the organization a few years back. And so it's a newer program. Can you kind of give us the life cycle as to how it's come about, where it's at, and where you can kind of see it moving into the future?
Yeah, so it's a 3-year grant program. We're currently in year 2. Last year, it was really focusing on, you know, with project management and support for those specific nonprofits, but it stemmed out of the former Youth Violence Prevention Network and the programs and nonprofits that were part of that. And also, you know, it was also formed due to like a tragic incident at the Emerald Bay Apartments. And so community leaders from the former Youth Violence Prevention Network, I believe John Leopold, came together with United Way to provide those wraparound services. So United Way shifted their grant model to really support these nonprofits to provide grant money so that they could collaborate and support the youth in those areas. So that's why there's one in Live Oak specifically, and then also, you know, one in Watsonville as well.
And I know you touched a little bit on those wraparound services. Could you be a little bit more specific for us, and maybe which nonprofits you're teaming up with and what service they provide, and maybe how youth come into the program or families come into the program, and, you know, what's the routing, you know, or how they maneuver through that process in that system?
Yeah, so I'll start with an example from Watsonville. I'm going to try to remember all the names because there's quite a few, but in Watsonville, we have Youth Now, Community Action Board, Conflict Resolution Center, Living Evolution, and Youth Serve. And so and Pajaro Valley Student Assistance and PVPSA. And so they all come together and they all have like their different specialties. So with the students that they already serve and the youth and families that they already serve, if say a student from Youth Now their family has expressed like concerns about, you know, finding rental assistance or food, they would connect with the Community Action Board, which provides that program. Or if there's a youth from Community Action Board that's seeking mental health services, they would then, you know, be referred to PVPSA, which provides those services. And then again, if there's like youth trying to get involved with the community, trying to volunteer, they would then be connected with Youth Serve, which is through the Volunteer Center of Santa Cruz, to get involved in that way. So it's this team working together, noticing families and youth that have those specific needs, and then, having those warm handoffs to each of those different organizations to see how they could best support them. And that's the same in Live Oak as well, with Community Bridges, Yoga for All movement, Your Future is Our Business, and Walnut Avenue Women's Center and Monarch Youth Services. So they have like their specific focuses, where like there's like mindfulness and well-being through Yoga for All movement, Community Bridges, which provides a lot of those basic needs and access to resources, and Walnut Avenue Women's Center and Monarch Services, providing that support in like domestic violence support and other mental health services as well. So they work collaboratively. They hold different like programs and workshops for youth that they meet with, but there's like there's in each collaborative, there's a lead organization that also kind of helps co-facilitate their planning and process. So the one in Watsonville is PVPSA, and then the one in Live Oak is Community Bridges. Does that make sense?
Very good. Yeah. So they have the lead organization, and then they help to kind of navigate, and every partner that you have helps the youth and the families kind of navigate through the process and provide them with services to be able to help them and better assist them to be successful in their community. That's pretty cool. And how many youth do you serve, or I mean, how many families do you serve? I know that might be a I guess the number, just to kind of give us a scale as to what what you guys are doing in those communities, and how has that increased maybe over the last year in this new world that we're living in with everything going on.
That's a really great question. I don't have those specific numbers on the top of my head because that's more of like the direct service providers of those programs. But it's really with youth now. They've been, and within each of those programs within the Live Oak and Watsonville area, it's supporting youth within that whole community. And I also know that the Watsonville United for Youth Collaborative is also working really hard of seeing how they could support youth that are, on more of like the unrestricted areas of town that don't have easy access to resources. And so, working with farm worker families and seeing how they could best, provide those equitable access to resources as well. So I don't have that specific number. I know it's quite a lot. And I also know that there has been an increase of support from families and youth, especially with being virtual and distance learning and like navigating the digital divide. So that's something that United for Youth partners are, really working in supporting as well.
Great. Well, yeah, and I get, as a board member, I see the 211 data, and I know how inundated 211's been with calls over the last year. So I can only imagine that the services that you guys are providing has significantly increased given just that need. So kind of bringing me to my next question, and specifically with regards to the United for Youth, how do people find United for Youth or the program partners? And, kind of dovetailing on that, if we know of somebody who may need some of these services, be it in the Live Oak or Watsonville, or if they're not in Live Oak and Watsonville, how do we get them engaged with somebody, a family, a youth, or something like, one of those groups?
Yeah, definitely. I would say definitely check out the United Way website. There's a United for Youth tab that has a link to all of those different and amazing partners and programs, and their contact information. You can go directly to there. And I know that like Community Bridges, that there's the United for Youth in Live Oak, although their focus is the Live Oak area, their programs and nonprofits do focus and support countywide and even throughout the Santa Cruz area as well. So those resources are available. And same with Watsonville, where they are supporting youth across the Watsonville Pajaro area. And so yeah, definitely on our website, definitely checking out those program partners and the activities that they're currently providing. Because I know like Youth Now has some, I think they're having a basketball camp next week and some awesome opportunities like volunteer service doing like a beach cleanup. So I'm also trying to keep track of all those amazing opportunities and ways to get involved. And I put them in the Youth Action Network monthly newsletter as well.
Well, we're going to hope that maybe you'll pass some of those along to us as Emerging Leaders Circle, because I think I'll have a question at the end that might come back to. So switching gears a little bit and talk about the Youth Action Network. I know you guys are in the process of, rebranding on that. And I know I've used that term, just recently in this discussion, but that is a true rebranding that's going. Can you kind of give us, what's happening on the Youth Action Network side and where it's come from and again, where it is today and kind of where you see it going?
Yeah, really good question. We are definitely in the weeds of everything right now, but just to provide some context for folks that don't know, we made this transition of moving from being the Youth Violence Prevention Network that's been around for like the past 8 years, really pulling together community members, leaders to support and decrease youth violence across Santa Cruz County. And there's a bunch of amazing projects that stemmed out of that, such as like Project Thrive, which Ruben was a part of. But when I first started, they were having conversations of like, what was a direction that they wanted to head into next? Like what they wanted to check in with the community to see like, what should we focus on? And so after having like roundtable discussions, ad hoc committee meetings, what we kept hearing is like, where are youth in the conversation? Can we center youth in decision making? Because it's youth violence prevention, but really that whole framework was preventing violence, but with a positive youth development approach, which is just really making sure that all of those resources are available for youth to thrive and succeed and be their best selves. And so we decided to change our name to the Youth Action Network. We had a relaunch event. It's up on our YouTube page if you want to check that out, but it's really us explaining like the next direction and where we're headed. And so with this amazing new name and wanting to center youth voice and youth leadership moving forward. So where we're at right now, we have this amazing planning committee team with some United for Youth members as well. So there is some like overlap and crossover of our partners. So we have youth and like 1 to 2 youth from each program, and then an adult ally coordinator from Conflict Resolution Center, Community Action Board, Friday Night Live, Aptos Community Youth Program, Salud y Cariño, and Jóvenes Sanos. So we're all working together collectively as a team to co-create and build out the Youth Action Network structure. So we really wanted youth to be a part of this process and for them to be at the center of this network. So the shift that we're trying to make is to start normalizing youth being involved in decision-making processes that directly affect them. So, supporting them if they want to go to city council, supporting them if they, want to partake in like social justice, grassroots orgs. It's, right now we're still trying to get our feet on the ground, but overall, we want to bring everyone together to collectively increase youth voice across the county. So it's really us creating this network, not to create like a brand new program, but to support all these amazing youth leadership groups, youth organizations across the county to come together and work collectively to increase their voices being heard, to support them, for them to make connections and collaborate with one another. So it's really taking that model of the Youth Violence Prevention Network and having it be youth at the center and not just adults. But we are also focusing really on creating strong youth-adult partnerships, because in order to make these changes, like we have to work together. And also with a positive youth development lens, youth-adult partnerships are really seen as promoting, strong relationships between youth and adults, which benefits both sides. And I also just want to point out with Jóvenes Sanos, they're also another youth initiative through United Way and have been around for about, I think, just 10 years now. So they've been doing youth leadership and advocacy work for a long time. And their work that they've been doing has been really, really helpful in helping build out the Youth Action Network. It's really taking what their work that they're doing and making it county-wide as well. So that's a little bit where we're at. We're still, trying to figure out, we hope to have like a steering committee and then creating like a really awesome work plan for the upcoming fiscal year starting in July. And Gabby and I are, really working together in just trying to create like the best network to support youth countywide. It is a very big endeavor, but it's not just us, it's also our amazing community partners and having that collective impact. And we've also been in touch with other youth groups and organizations like across the state and across the country, because they have amazing models, and we're just trying to learn like the best practices that we can pull into this network as well.
And what, specifically again with regarding the Youth Action Network, what ages, it sounds like to me, you're probably looking at a little bit older demographic in the Youth Action Network than kind of United for Youth, which will probably span all age demographics. Is that kind of what you say? Is that kind of high school and up, middle school and up? Where do you see kind of the ages? And then kind of going back to kind of a question I asked with the previous one, if we do know of a youth that is interested in getting involved and wanting to have their voice heard and getting out there and making a real change in our community, how do we get them engaged, and how do we introduce them to the Youth Action Network?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. The age range right now, we're still, debating on, do we want it to be, I think traditionally from the Youth Violence Prevention Network, it was 10 to 24. But right now you have youth that are also in middle school and then also, are in college. So I think what we're imagining when we do that broader outreach for youth, it's probably going to be middle school to like early 20s, 21, 22. But we want to discuss that more with the youth and seeing what they think would be best as well. But it's awesome to see so far in the group that we have of just what they bring from any age, and seeing them work together has been really awesome. And then for youth that are interested in getting involved, we are planning to do more like general broad outreach throughout the summer. And we imagine having like workshops or training sessions that are open to all youth across the county. And we're probably going to have like quarterly or every other month meetings with like our general YAN members. So I would say, follow us on Instagram to keep up with what we're doing. And then because we've had a few youth reach out to us, but we're kind of not just at that stage to start enrolling everyone just yet, but definitely in the future, they could reach out to us. They could email Gabby and I, or message us through Instagram or Facebook as well.
Very neat. Well, it's pretty amazing what you guys are doing on both fronts, or what you're doing, as long with everybody else on the call and just on the team is doing on both fronts. I know it's I admire everything that happens at the United Way, and the services and what you all provide for our community is really, really amazing. So I guess going to the financial side, and maybe some questions that you'll have to let me know if you feel comfortable answering or not. But we are the Emerging Leaders Circle, are an affiliate of the United Way. We do make donations to the United Way. So kind of how does our funding, our specific dollars that we're bringing in from the Emerging Leaders Circle, help you guys in your current mission? And then if we can go out and we have a goal of $10,000 to raise as the Emerging Leaders Circle. If we can go out and hit that number, where do you see opportunities to grow your services within our community with additional financial resources to help you do that?
Yeah, no, that's an amazing question. And I think for nonprofits and youth serving organizations, it's always, trying to find funding to support services. So definitely United for Youth, like that money will be going directly to those partnering programs and like the services that they're providing for those wraparound services in the Live Oak and Watsonville area. So that money will be directly going towards them. And then for the Youth Action Network, we are really looking for funding to support youth in like because right now for our planning committee, we're providing stipends because we want to make sure that youth are being compensated for their time and their thoughts and their leadership that they're bringing into these conversations. So moving forward, we definitely want to provide stipends for our steering committee and other prizes, if youth come up with awesome projects and so forth. And then also providing the financial opportunities would be really helpful for, future trainings, getting people from outside of the area to connect and collaborate with youth. Because as much as we would love all of the trainings to be in kind, some do have a price tag to them. But yeah, it would definitely, a lot of these, resources and funding opportunities that ELC would be fundraising for would be going directly back to the youth in both of those programs.
Very cool. And then, I know one thing, part of the reason we started the Emerging Leaders Circle, or I started the Emerging Leaders Circle, and with the additional members that were there in the steering committee that's currently here right now, is to give opportunities outside of just financial giving, because we do know that, while money is great, and obviously United Way and other nonprofits need that financial resources. Sometimes the young professionals have additional time that they can give, maybe not the financial resources. And I know in the age of COVID, volunteer activities have kind of gone awry, and it's a little bit more challenging. But as you see opportunities moving forward, and I think you mentioned this earlier on, or as you move on, what opportunities do you see for emerging leader circle, or maybe a one-off community member who is looking to possibly give back to either United for Youth or the Youth Action Network, or just United Way in general, to help support you and your services and what you're trying to do to make our community healthier?
Yeah, I would say for United for Youth, there's still some awesome volunteering opportunities to be like a tutor at Youth Now. I also know Your Future with Our Business is an awesome organization in the Live Oak Collaborative that supports youth in like finding career paths that they're interested in. So they're always looking for professionals to share their career paths as well. And then also just like being a mentor. I know that I think being a mentor just comes with, being a volunteer as well, but there's also other organizations in the Santa Cruz County area where you can be matched with a youth and be a mentor. I myself am one through Big Brothers Big Sisters for the past few years. And that's a really, really awesome opportunity that supports youth in our county as well. But then also, I think moving forward for the Youth Action Network, we are looking for, training opportunities and workshops if, folks within ELC have, background in leadership development, or, public policy best practices, or learning about like the different systems that you work within, so that they can have some insight to that, career readiness, and like even public speaking and facilitation. So just looking to see if, folks would be interested in sharing their time, and, creating those connections for youth as well. And I think also what we're trying to do through like our Youth Action newsletters, sharing what we're doing, but also sharing what's going out in the community. And so there's so many amazing events that these organizations are holding, of ways that you can learn to get involved and support youth. And also, youth-led grassroots organizations that are looking for support, or, in-kind donations and things like that. So I'm always trying to include those in there of what folks are doing. So yeah, and if you, have questions, or you're trying to figure out and navigate, feel free to reach out to me as well. I'm always happy to help make those connections.
Very good. So it sounds like we need to get your contact information distributed, make sure we're all on your newsletter. It sounds like this is the best way to figure out what opportunities are out there.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, we're about at the half-hour mark, and so I wanted to kind of open it up and see if anybody from the audience or the group has any specific questions for Amanda, and then if not, no questions are out there, then we can do a kind of wrap up for everybody. So if there's any questions out there, feel free to unmute yourself and ask away.
Actually, curious, how are the youth reacting to everything you all are doing? Is there anything they're looking forward to?
That's a good question. I think with the youth that we're currently working with, they're really excited. The planning process is just been really, really awesome, but they're really excited to get planning. Like they want to dive in, like they're very ready. I think what's a common misunderstanding with youth is that they need a lot of support and guidance. And we want to, build those trusting relationships, but they are very ready to collaborate with one another in sharing their voices. And we're very thankful to be working with these youth as well, and also trying to get more youth involved. So yeah, I think I'm just excited to see what they have to bring to the table, because I know that they are very ready to start sharing.
Thank you.
All right, any other additional questions? Well, then Amanda, I'm gonna just kind of ask you, maybe wrap up, give us 2 more minutes of who you are. If you have a pitch or you want to pitch anything moving forward, let us know, and give you a couple minutes, and I'll finish this off.
Go ahead, Jenna. have something. I'm just trying to think. Well, I just also wanted to say hi. And I was just wondering if there were any particular sort of like engagement strategies that you have found like work the best, or just I'm like interested in knowing more like logistically, like including like when have you had to change like the times of your meetings, like what time of day have you found to be successful, like what type of communication platforms like do the young people you're working with like prefer talking to you on, like how is that part working?
Yeah, that's a great question, especially with being in a virtual space and knowing how much they have on their plates already. Gabby and I really wanted to be mindful of all that. So we just connecting with the youth and seeing what times would work best for them. We have our meetings on Mondays, like bi-monthly. And that's the days that most youth have like a working session day. And they usually get off a little bit early around then. And I think, connecting with youth and conversations, it's surprisingly a lot of them, we did like an interest form of seeing like what way would be best, because we're thinking, I was like, either through like a group community like Discord or like a Facebook group and trying to keep up with what's going on. But surprising through email has been really helpful. And I think what's been helping us in coordination is working closely with their adult coordinators as well. So working with someone who already has a really good relationship with youth, and then coming together as a team has been working really well. But we're also, trying to be mindful of like, a lot of youth are going back to school right now. And so trying to see, we might have to add like a few other meetings to make sure that we are, going about it within and not like putting too much on their plates too.
Yeah, thank you. And as a follow-up, have there been some specific themes that have emerged as like some of the things that they're like most passionate about or concerned about right now?
Yeah, so these past, we're kind of just entering into that conversation. Our first few meetings was establishing like community agreements, getting to know each other's like different initiatives and where they have alignment. And we just did a personal asset mapping and community mapping activity that was facilitated by Professor Leslie Lopez and the Hovanasanas Youth. And so they kind of did an analysis of where their strengths are within themselves and then also within the community. And so we're actually in our next meeting going to kind of go over like a gap analysis of where they see things and what changes they want to make. But just from conversations so far, it's at a general base, supporting other youth, amplifying each other's voices, but also paying attention to listening how they're doing about virtual learning and like the workloads that they have and the responsibilities that they have as well. And then also other youth expressing, just about supporting, recent, social justice movements as well in ways that we can support. So it's a little bit broad right now, but we're hoping to dive a little bit deeper in these upcoming meetings. Thanks, Jenna.
Perfect. Anything else from the group before we wrap up? All right, Amanda, I don't know if you have any closing thoughts you want to leave us with before we get out of here today.
I just want to say thank you for letting me be in the space. I also wanted to say thanks to all the colleagues at United Way. I wouldn't be able to do any of this work if it wasn't without them. So I just want to make sure that they're also highlighted as well. Yeah, and if you are interested, please email us, follow us on Instagram. We always share resources in our stories as well too. So there's so many ways to get involved. It's just figuring out which one works best for you.
And thank you, Amanda, from ELC, from myself. We really appreciate you being here today and sharing with everybody just what you're doing in our community. It's truly, truly, truly amazing. And we're so grateful for everything that you and the United Way and everybody else on this call who supports you and supports United Way is here today. So thank you so much. And then, if you're interested in Emerging Leader Circle, like I said, we put on events like this. We do the Connect, Serve, Lead model. These are our lead events where we're trying to provide resources for the young professionals in our community. We're a little bit over, I think that, or at least I know I'm over that the Youth Action Network, even though it sounds pretty cool to be a part of that. But I'm aged out, unfortunately. But you know, we're providing resources for young professionals within our community through networking, through volunteer activities, and through providing events like this today. If you're interested in joining ELC, you can find us also on social media: Facebook, Instagram, Emerging Leader Circles, Santa Cruz County. We're also have a tab on the United Way of Santa Cruz County website. So please feel free. You can sign up there. I'm always available. You're more than welcome to reach out to me if you have any questions about joining the group or about being a part of the Emerging Leader Circle. It's a $100 donation for the year. Gets you a member and supports this great work that Amanda and the United Way and is doing in our community to make our youth, give our youth opportunities and make our community as a whole healthier. So thank you all today. I appreciate it. And with that, we'll wrap up unless there's anybody else that wants to share a final word on anything. Nope, I'm not getting anything from Ash, and so we're good to go. You guys have a great rest of your day, and look forward to seeing you all again next month.
Thank you all.